let's chat about Mars War Logs, a sci-fi role-playing game developed by Spiders, who you might recognize for this year's new taste sensation Greedfall. Mars War Logs was released 2013 years ago, and the trend it started for Spiders is Eurojank. But wait, no, you don't say it that way for this game. For this game, you say it like this: Eurojank. You know, like, he's our dumpster, like that kind of way. What is Eurojank, I hear you not ask? Well, shut up, I'll tell you. The optimist definition of Eurojank is, it's ambitious, it dreams big, it has themes. It just has the budget of a Tanzanian orphanage. The cynic's definition is, it's made of mud bricks and it has no foundation. What do you expect? So which is it for this game? Is there a glass, or is the cat dead, or whatever? Here we go. Before that, this presentation is brought to you by spoilers. Spoilers. Sometimes you're just saving people time. We begin by having a young prisoner of war opine about the water conflicts where he was captured. His review in short, 4 out of 10. Following on from that, we start to get bullied by the popular kids.
Yeah, you got a pretty mouth.
To set up this heroic reveal for our protagonist, this guy, who, either has a nervous tic or legitimately thinks that this is threatening behavior.
What, are you insane?
As an opening act, we hatch a plan to leave jail, because it's really kind of a dump. And the core of that involves fetching things 20 feet away from lazy people.
What exactly do you need?
I need 2 resistors, 3 bits of sheet metal, and a Numbah 9 wrench.
And bonking stuff on the head with a pipe. You know, the homeless man special that RPGs are known for. Although in this case, the patchy clothing and the big neckerchief kind of make the association more literal. The intro lets us get acquainted with the game world, our boy Roy, the main character.
On a Numbah 9 wrench.
And yeah, sticking crap together, that one's actually pretty important. The world of Mars in this incarnation, as you can see, it's scrap iron bolted together in the shape of a pile of crap. Later on, when you do escape from prison and arrive at a proper city, the pile of crap starts to look a little bit more organized, but a pile of crap it remains. The reason for the state of the world could be touched on more for my taste because it has definite flavor. There was a catastrophe in the recent past that tilted the axis of the planet and severed communications with Earth. But the game is more focused on the struggles of people who have learned to make do in the remains of their lives. So there are practically no nods to this grander background story. The blurb that I just gave you comes out of a single entry in the world building section of my inventory. One other interesting piece of Mars flavor is the mutants, who are not popular.
The men beat us always. When we cannot work, they beat us more. Always beaten.
In the catastrophe, some people were exposed to high levels of dangerous radiation, which gave them the power of being horrifying blister people. Knock knock, here's something different. The prison overseer is magic, and his barber could tell he was evil. Look at that haircut. But this introduces us to our next flavor of Mars, technomancy, which involves using the electricity of the human body to shoot cool lightning. By the way, if you just said people don't got that much electricity, then you are not fun enough for the rest of this conversation, and you need to take a time out. Besides, we already did this one 10 years ago with The Matrix. Why not cows? Cause cows don't kung fu fight, dude. While escaping the prison, we learn that Roy is a former technomancer, and with the right stuff, he can also do cool lightning magic. And that will be instrumental in getting us involved in a power struggle later on. In case you're wondering, no, that does not clear up what happened earlier. He's not scary because he's magic, he's just scary. Maybe I'm a little bit stuck on this, I admit. After we bounce from the big house, we make our way back to civilization, where martial law has resulted in an increase in beatings per capita. We lay low and find our feet for a while because Roy is being attacked by police on account of being a rogue techno dancer. There are also frequent attacks by groups of street thugs, but the motivation for the street thugs isn't explained or addressed. Eventually, we meet up with the resistance, who's tired of the oppression and corruption, and they want it to be their turn now. We also meet with a government official who wants our help because he's concerned that the technomancers are getting too chummy with the head of state, and he thinks that they might be corrupt and possibly about to oppress something. After a resistance op goes horribly wrong, you have to choose to either help the resistance against the government or help the government against the shadow government. Sorry, those are your choices. That's a lot of action for one man, regardless of his long-term housing status. And so now would be a perfect place to talk about the game's combat, but we're going to gloss over it in no more than 20 seconds. Cause honestly, it's kind of a whiff. It's really easy to stunlock single enemies by alternating attack and guard break like the game wants you to, but if you do that, most enemies will start auto-dodging you, as if to say, no, it's my turn. While they're doing this, there's almost always some jackass off in the distance shooting at you. So if you want to avoid being stun-locked yourself, you gotta chase him down, and oh my god, now he's doing it. Stop it! The combat is a pretty good summary of what you can expect overall. Is it jank? I mean, yeah, kinda. There are some mistakes. I'll give you some examples. Most systems are a little flaky and you'll have to fight with them. Doors are kinda finicky. Even doors that are already open and have a chest sitting inside of them. Every loot collection. More finagling with the loots. Even gravity. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the surface of a planet, but that one is supposed to be around almost all the time. It's the kind of game where you can craft materials and use your inventory screen to slot 3 different upgrades in your armor and weapons, so customize, but where it's impossible to sell, craft, or purchase multiples. So this pile of cloth that I've acquired thanks to the indulgence of the community, it would take about 387 clicks to sell. It's the kind of game where facial animation isn't quite there yet, so sometimes it's tough to tell what kind of emotion is being conveyed. If it were me, I would just say, just don't do close-ups then, but we get a fair number anyway, so everyone is just living in confusion. It's the kind of game where, yeah, a limited number of facial assets is a given, because of the budget. I mean, this guy even formed a 4-man band with 3 hymns and a wig. It's the kind of game where it's not overall terrible looking, but every so often an NPC will move their hand in just the right way, and he'll go, "Whoa! Put that back!" But there's clearly care put into this. Here, this one is neat. A lot of this voice acting is great, and it's surprising that there's so few actors, actually. But every so often, while you're talking to people about their crappy slum lives, you'll hear a sentence that sounds like the person just learned to curse 13 seconds ago.
I found something down there. Well, let's see. And just what did you find, you asshole? Must have been something for a jerk-off like you.
That's because a lot of these lines are a second draft. A lot of it was retranslated. That's after release, and that's a surprising amount of care. Turns out that when you don't tell people the context of what they're reading, they're just words on paper. Now the source says they couldn't redo the whole thing, so I'm not sure if that's where stuff like this...
He calls himself a Roy. He refuses to join us, he's a renegade. He must be careful and said that he's armed.
comes from, but I forgot where I was going with this actually. Let's wrap it up, I want some margaritas. For my taste, I'd like to see the setting and the characters explored a bit more. I would have liked a lot more world building. I mean, this is a setting where we've got aliens, eyeless subterranean moles, and shrimp dogs. But they're not really a prominent part of the setting. They're not really explored. And then, when you're walking around at the end, this gets mentioned.
Huh, look at that. Their drilling worm isn't properly tied up.
I'm sorry, our what? This is a setting with giant skull-faced death worms, but where's all the cool implications of that? Where's the giant sand tracks to really make me feel it? Where's the worm shipping lanes? That opens up some interesting stuff to get explored. Like, this Mars was only partially terraformed. Does that mean this stuff was here before we started? Were we gonna kill off a whole planet of existing life just so that humans could settle here? It seems like the implications of the setting weren't really explored. Here's one. Most people know it's much smaller than Earth. You're gonna weigh almost nothing there. What would that do to the human body? This game is full of actually very interesting questions to explore, but you wouldn't know it because you spend so much time doing other stuff that seems mundane by comparison. Like making a bank deposit, getting your ID in order, tracking down somebody who didn't pay the prostitutes.
Get lost, fucker. I ain't moving.
Come on, man. We could have had giant death worms. The game's not bland, but I would certainly care for some salt or some hot sauce or something. I imagine that in the average human life, the topic of Mars Warlogs will come up once, as part of a sentence. And that sentence is, should I play Mars Warlogs before I play Technomancer? And because of how Technomancers in the setting aren't really clearly actually, I can't answer that question. Not until I play the sequel Technomancer, and that's next. Join me for the exciting conclusion to this 2-part trilogy. You didn't even know this was a 2-parter, but it is. It's a duology, baby. Here we go. Join me here next time.